So, basically that means I am now coming to chapter 15, 13 and 14 to be visited later. The problems in the tutorials, they will continue, they will still do problems from 13 and 14 because you have done these things. But 15 I will ensure whatever I do and the problems I will do in the lectures till your minor. So that, but 15 is fully in the course. And that's why I have taken this thing on myself, that I'll do all these problems in the lectures, and there'll be enough solved examples, maybe not today, but in the next classes. Also today's class I may end about 10 minutes earlier, rather than, because you always complain I go up to 11 o'clock. So I will give you some relief today. Notations may be slightly different, but then let's just see. So today what we are going to talk about is, we'll talk of angular velocity of a reference frame. So let us say we have a frame F in which we fix capital XYZ coordinate axis. Now the frame F is something where we fix, we use the symbol F, capital F, to indicate it is a fixed, but it could be moving also. So that's why, and in fact you will realize in the book what I'll call M, the moving frame, has been called as script F, F with a capital this thing in a circle. So that is slightly different from this, but it's the same thing, but I will use M and F for moving and fixed, but this could also be moving, it doesn't matter, because we'll talk of things with respect to one another. Now we have another frame, a second frame, which I refer to as M. So we have another frame M. In this frame M, we fix another set of axes, which I'll now call as small xyz. So small xyz are now fixed in frame small m. Okay. Now what we will observe the motion of m with respect to f. So with respect to f, m could be moving and it could also be rotating. That means the direction of axis small xyz could be changing. Okay. So let's write this down. So we have this frame small m could be or is moving with respect to capital F and not only translation but also rotation, that is the directions of small I, small j and small k as observed from F will change. So the small m frame is rotating. Now let's call small I, j, k, these are unit vectors in M, and capital I, capital J, capital K, these are unit vectors in F. And as we say, orientation of small ijk changes with respect to capital Ijk. And since we are talking of m with respect to f, we don't bother about what happens to f, whether orientation of capital Ijk changes or not, we don't bother. But for all practical purposes, we assume this to be a fixed frame. Okay. Now let me just also at this stage put this, that small m has been referred to as script f in the textbook. This is just for your reference in case you are following the book. This has been referred to like this. Now what we will do is, let us try to see we want to find out what is the rate of change of, because small I is changing its direction, what is the rate of change of small I as observed from capital XYZ. So that is why I put with respect to capital XYZ. Now this will be some vector, so it will be something I plus something j plus something k. Now at this stage I will make a small this thing. Now this vector which I have to do write, I can either write it in terms of capital Ijk or in terms of small ijk. And here I am going to place do something which is not very obvious. Because I am writing di by dt with respect to capital XYZ, you will expect me to write it in terms of capital I, capital J, capital K. But I will not do that. I will write di by dt in terms of small I, small j and small k. And the purpose for that will become clear once I finish this in about 5 minutes. Okay. So let me write this di by dt with respect to capital XYZ as a1 small I plus a2 small j plus a3 small k, some general vector. I don't know what a1, a2, a3 are. They will depend on the motion of small ijk. Okay, but there is a point to which I am trying to get. Next, similarly, let me write dj by dt with respect to capital XYZ. I will write it as b1i, let's see, okay, plus b2j plus b3k. And dk by dt, see this is with respect to capital XYZ. So yeah, it will be a1 will be 0 because of we know I dotted with I, di by dt will be 0. Let's see. So dk by dt we will write it as c1i plus c2j plus c3k. So I am just trying to generalize. I could have used the tensor notation here, but I am just expanding everything. I am not writing in small notation. So these are some general vectors, and now actually when somebody said a1 is equal to 0, they got to the point which I was trying to get to, that while I have 9 constants here, actually some of these will be 0 and some of these will be related, and let's try to see what happens. So when I write it like this, now what we know is I dotted with I is equal to 1 for all time. That means d by dt of I dotted with I will be 0, and this is what leads to basically a1 is 0, because I take this means I dotted with di by dt is equal to 0. So di by dt was a1 I plus a2 j. When I take a dot product with I get only a1, that must be 0. Similarly, j dotted with dj by dt is equal to 0, and this will lead to b2 is equal to 0, and k dotted with dk by dt is equal to 0, and this will lead to c3 is equal to 0. That means all the diagonal terms here a1, b2 and c3, they are all zeros. Do I have more relations between these? I dot j, this will always be 0 for all time. Okay. So I have I dotted with j is equal to 0 for all times. So, that means d by dt of I dotted with j, from whichever frame you look at it, this will be 0. This will give me I dotted with dj by dt plus j dotted with di by dt must be equal to 0. Okay. So, when I do this, what is I dotted with dj by dt? So, dj by dt is here. When I dot it with I will get B1, and when I do j dotted with this, I will get A2. So, that means what I have is, this implies B1 plus A2 is equal to 0. Similarly, I have I dotted with k is equal to 0. This will mean I dotted with dk by dt plus k dotted with di by dt, this is equal to 0. And this leads to a relation which is equal to, this will be not B3, this will be, this will relate what, let us see, I dotted with dk by dt. So, when I dotted with I will get C1 and I will get A3. So, A3 plus C1 is equal to 0, and when I do j dotted with k is equal to 0, j dotted with what has happened, when I do j, okay, started. So, therefore, so we have these three relations with these. So, we get three relations. One is we get A1 is equal to 0, B2 is equal to 0, C3 is equal to 0, and then we get B1 plus A2 is equal to 0, A3 plus C1 is equal to 0, and the third thing we will get is B3 plus C2 is equal to 0. So, now once we have this, now let us write di by dt with respect to x, y, z. So, this is equal to A2j minus C1k. I will write it only in terms of the three constants which we have. Dj by dt, I will write it as equal to minus A2i plus B3k, and dk by dt, I will write it as C1i minus B3j. So, what I have done is I have replaced everything in terms of A2, C1 and B3. Okay. So, that means we have only 3 unknowns instead of 9. We started with 9 in terms of, still we do not know what are A2, C1, and we do not care, but this is what we get. Okay. Now, what I am going to do is, let me write it as equal to, and this you will see, this is equal to, this I can write it as B3i plus C1j plus A2k cross I, because when I do a cross product, I cross I is 0, j cross I is minus k, and k cross I is j. Why am I doing this? When I write the second term, what will I get? Will it be cyclic? Just try to see. You will get the same thing. You won't get cyclic, I think you probably. So, what we will get is the same thing. When I write dj by dt, what I get is, I will again get it as B3i plus C1j plus A2k cross j, and dk by dt I will again get it as B3i plus C1j plus A2k cross k. So, therefore, from this what we get is that we can write this vector we can call it as a vector. There are only 3 scalar components, that means this is a vector. And this vector is what we will call as the angular velocity of m with respect to f. So, in mathematical terms, what I will get from here is, once I get to this, that so that means I can write di by dt is equal to this vector which I will call omega of m with respect to f cross I, dj by dt is equal to omega of m with respect to f cross j, and dk by dt is equal to omega of m with respect to f cross k, where omega of m with respect to f is defined as the angular velocity of m with respect to f. So, this gives us the rate of change of small I, j or k with respect to time as observed from frame f. Now, notice we chose arbitrary orientations for x, y, z. Initially, I did not say they have to be parallel to capital I, capital J, capital K. It could be anywhere. That means, if you have any fixed line in the frame M, its rate of change as observed will be given by a unit vector along that line. It need not be along I, j, k. Any fixed line in the frame M will change, its angle will change or its direction will change with this thing of omega cross f. So, that means omega is something which does not belong to a point, it belongs to the whole reference frame as a whole. So, whatever is the reference frame, it is a property of the frame. And in terms of mechanics, why are reference frames important? Because every rigid body can be treated as a reference frame. So, when we know motion with respect to a reference frame, we will be able to get this. So, this is in a sense, this is how we get omega of the frame of m with respect to f in a mathematical way. Now, let us try to see the physical meaning of this. And for the physical meaning, let me first work out the inverse relation. The inverse relation is that now I am not writing with respect to capital X, Y, Z, that is implied. Okay. If it is not, then I will put otherwise. So, now di by dt we write it as omega cross I, dj by dt is equal to omega cross j, dk by dt is equal to omega cross k. Now, that means omega is a function of I, j, k and di by dt, dj by dt and dk by dt. So, can we work an explicit function of omega? So, for that what we do is, let us do I cross di by dt plus j cross dj by dt plus k cross dk by dt. So, now I carry out these mathematical operations. So, I cross di by dt. Let us look at this. I cross di by dt will be equal to I cross omega cross I. So, and then similarly that means j cross dj by dt, this will be j cross omega cross j, and k cross dk by dt will look something very omega cross k. And now we use the relation A cross B cross C. This will be equal to omega times I dot I minus omega dotted with I, which is the x component of omega times I. Okay. So, this is A cross B cross C, I am expanding this. So, this is B times A dotted with C minus B dotted with C times A. So, therefore, omega I dot I minus omega xi. Similarly, in the second term I will get the same thing. This will be equal to omega j dot j minus omega y j, and this will be omega k dot k minus omega z k. So, when you add up all these, what do you get? On adding up all these, I dot I is 1, j dot j is 1, k dot k is 1. So, these three will give me 3 omega minus what do I get? Omega xi minus omega yj minus omega zk. So, that will give me omega. So, when we add these up, in fact, I will add them up here only. So, this will give me 3 omega minus omega. So, that means what I get is that omega will be equal to half of I cross di by dt plus j cross dj by dt plus k cross dk by dt. So, this is the sort of inverse relation which we get in terms of omega. Now, for the physical meaning of omega, let me talk of the physical meaning of omega, and this we talk of the physical meaning comes for a case where the frame M moves such that dk by dt is equal to 0. If our frame is moving in such a way that the axis k is not changing its orientation, what does that mean? That means the frame is moving in plane motion with respect to frame F. If the axis k is not changing its direction, that means k is maintaining its fixed orientation with respect to frame F. So, the frame M is moving in plane motion, or it could be a slightly general motion of a helical motion along a path. So, these are the two cases where this would be the physical case, that a frame M is moving in a general plane motion with respect to frame F. So, for that case, let us have a look at this, what is the meaning of omega. So, in this case what we do is, let us choose small k parallel to capital K. So, and this would happen when we have plane motion of small xy plane, yeah, एक minute, or let me just complete this, or screw type motion with axis of screw along z. I was just writing what I said. Yeah.
In the previous formula, can't we extract I plus j plus k and derivative of I plus j plus k?
Can't we extract means?
I mean, we can write it as half of I plus j plus k cross
Huh.
derivative of I plus j plus k.
We have done something like that only. We have taken the three things. When you do that, I think some more terms will come. That's my gut feeling. So, then that's what we have done. Basically, we have taken I cross di by dt plus j cross dk by dt. You are saying take the sum. So, probably we have done the same. Would that help in any understanding?
Yeah,
Or would it be simpler? Maybe we will discuss if.
should be half of the vector times
Okay. Maybe let's see if that is so, then we can. Okay. So, now let's see this. So, how what we are doing this? What we have is we have capital, sorry, I will call this as capital X, capital Y, capital Z, and our this is the fixed frame. The moving frame has got x and y, but z, small z is parallel to capital Z. That is when dk by dt will be 0. So now what we do is, let the angle between small x and capital X be theta. Okay. So if I write it like this, that means I have capital I is capital X, capital Y, and which means I have, and if I look at these vectors, this is small x and small y, and this angle at this instant is theta. Because I am talking of unit vectors, I put both of these together, because unit vectors I am talking only of the directions, not where they are located. Okay. So now once I have this, that means this is small I, this is capital I. So now small I is equal to cos theta capital I plus sin theta capital J, and small j is equal to sin theta capital I, and small j is that one, so minus cos theta capital J. So now I have written small ij in terms of capital Ij. Now to get the physical meaning of omega, I will use the definition of omega. So let us use the definition of omega. Omega is equal to this pen doesn't. Technology has its own disadvantages, as we are seeing. This pen is stopped working. What is the reason? I don't know. I'll go to the board. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't have any choice. तो मैं थोड़ी बोर्ड पे जाना पड़ेगा, बोर्ड पे फोकस करना पड़ेगा. ये तो चौक दूसरी सफेद चौक पे क्या? Just don't know what's going on. Let me just try once more. Let me try it again. Hopefully it may work now. 15 कहाँ गया? चक्कर क्या हो रहा है यार, काम ही नहीं कर रहा. It's the touch has stopped working on this. कोई बटन दब गया यार गलत वाला. Anyway, I'll just move on to the board because इसको बंद ही कर दो. So ये लाइट जला दो यहाँ पे. Let's इसको बंद ही कर दो प्रोजेक्टर को. प्रोजेक्टर बंद कर दो. प्रेस द बटन अगेन. एक बार और करो. एक और करो. Okay, thanks. Okay, so we have frame F, frame M, small x, small y, capital X, capital Y, Z is parallel to Z, and what we have written is small I. Okay, I think last time when I was writing this, I had put the minus sign. It should have been here with I, which I think somebody was pointing out when things went wrong. Okay, so this is what we have for I and J. So now let's use the definition of omega. Omega is equal to half of I cross di by dt. Now this will write, so this implies di by dt will be equal to and dj by dt, this will be equal to so when I do I cross di by dt, what do I get? So I cross with di by dt, let's do that. So and so this will be, in this case I cross I will give me 0. So what I will get is this is equal to di by dt is equal to sin theta theta dot I. एक मिनट को मैंने कुछ गलती की है क्या? Okay, so when I take I cross di by dt, I will get we do it with small I cross di by dt will be I cross I will give me 0. I will get I cross di by dt will give me theta dot j. Is that right? Theta dot k. Sorry. And j cross dj by dt again I will get theta dot k. Okay. So that means omega will be equal to half of 2 times theta dot k. This is equal to theta dot k. So that means what I get is that omega gives me the rate of change of the angle theta with time. What is the angle theta? Angle theta is the angle which x is making with x bar, or y, small y is making with capital Y, or small x is making with capital X. So therefore what I get is, if I have a fixed line in frame M, the rate of change of the angle which this line makes with another fixed line in the frame F is what is the angular velocity, and that is the meaning which we take from angular velocity in a general sense. So that is the physical meaning of omega. So physical meaning of omega in this case is if a line fixed in M makes an angle theta with another line fixed in F, then rate of change of theta is omega, the scalar omega, because it has only one component along k. Okay, and this is the sense with which we know the angular velocity. That is the basic meaning of angular velocity. Now, what I am going to do as a last thing in today's class, as I told you, I will leave you a bit early. So, what I am going to do is if I know a vector A, vector A could be any general vector. In fact, probably I do two things before I leave you. So now, if I have a vector A, what I want to find out is if you find dA by dt as seen from frame F and dA by dt as observed from frame M. And how do we define frame M? Now we define frame M with respect to F by omega. That's the, otherwise physically there may be anything, but in terms of our quantities it is omega which relates these two frames. So then what is the relation between these two? Will they be the same or will they be different? Obviously they will be different, because for example if there is a position vector which is fixed in M, then dA by dt as seen from M will be 0. But if this frame is rotating, obviously you will see this line as changing its direction as seen from F. So what is the relation between dA by dt as seen from F and dA by dt as seen from M? And for that what we do is, let us write the vector A as A1i plus A2j plus A3k. So therefore now when I say dA by dt as seen from capital XYZ, so this will be equal to dA1 by dt I plus A1 times di by dt plus I will get dA2 by dt I Now I will club them in pairs. So, or in the first three with the alternate terms together. So this will become equal to this is equal to dA1 by dt I plus Okay, all I have done is all this di by dt, dj by dt and dk by dt I have put omega cross I, omega cross j, omega cross k. Okay, so now once I have this, what do the first three terms represent? This is how dA by dt vector is changing with respect to frame M, because now you are keeping I, j, k as fixed. So these terms give me dA by dt with respect to frame M. Now these terms I can write this as omega cross A1I. The second term I can write it as omega cross A2j. And the third term I can write it as omega cross A3k, because A1, A2, A3 are scalars, I can take them inside. And what will these terms then become? These will then become omega cross A1I plus A2j plus A3k, and this is nothing but equal to omega cross the vector A. Okay, so therefore we have got another formula, and this is the basic formula: dA by dt with respect to frame F is equal to dA by dt with respect to frame M plus omega cross A. Okay, and this formula we will be using repeatedly. Now this also tells you one more thing: if the frame M is translating, then its omega will be 0, and then the dA by dt which you will get with respect to the two frames will be same, because this change is coming only because the moving frame has its own, it is rotating, its axis is changing its direction. Now what we can do is, where will we use this formula mostly? In terms of kinematics. That will be for finding velocity and accelerations of different points. So now from here let's come to the case that if we have a point P, so let me first explain what we have, and then we'll use this formula again and repeatedly to work out. If we have a point P whose velocity is known with respect to frame M, whose velocity and acceleration is known with respect to frame M. So this could be, for example, let's say I have a plate. In the plate there is a circular slot, and suppose if I say there is a point which is moving with a speed equal to v, and the speed is changing at the rate v dot, and I say this is moving in a circular path, I give you its location. So then do you know the velocity and acceleration vector of this point with respect to the plate? It will be, velocity will be s dot et. So if you know the circular path, you know the et direction, and acceleration will be, or this is equal to v times et, and acceleration will be equal to v dot et plus v square upon rho E. So if you know this, you with respect to this plate you could know things. Now the plate itself could be having a complex motion. So this is the velocity of P. So we know this is the velocity of P with respect to plate. Okay. Now the plate itself may have angular motion omega about another body. For example, the plate could be hanging on a string, and if it is left, then the plate will have some angular motion with respect to the string, or it could be pin joint, it could be connected with a pin joint to this body, and this plate is released at rest. So then the plate will have its own angular motion, etc., which will be governed by its own dynamics. Okay, so what we are saying is we know a point P whose velocity and acceleration are known with respect to m. So I know the velocity and acceleration of this with respect to the plate. So plate is my moving frame m, and we also know the motion of frame m with respect to the ground frame F. Again, F need not be the ground frame, but we'll typically take F to be the ground frame. So now what we want to find out is, if you know velocity of P with respect to m, acceleration of P with respect to m, these two things are known, and we want to find out velocity of P with respect to F and given the general motion of the frame m, what are these quantities? And for here, what I'll do is to do this. So this is the problem. Is the problem statement clear? Once if the problem statement is clear, we can get to the final derivation. And the derivation is quite straightforward. We have this frame F. Now notice in all these problems, at least the cartoons which I am making, I am showing M physically different from F, but it could at the same time lie on F itself. It's just for the sake of general notation that I am drawing this. So now let's say for these notations, I'll just use the consistent notation. Let this be O. We have small xyz, capital XYZ. Let A be the origin in the moving frame where the axes are fixed. O is the origin. So A is the origin of axes in small m. O is the origin of axes in F. There is a point P which is moving. So this position vector AP we have the position vector OP. Now velocity of P with respect to capital XYZ will be equal to d by dt of OP, and velocity of P with respect to small xyz will be equal to d by dt of AP. Okay, we are measuring P from this frame. So this I can write it as d by dt of OP. I can write it as OA plus AP with respect to capital XYZ. Okay, and this will be equal to Okay. Now, what is dOA by dt? This is nothing but velocity of point A. So this is velocity of point A with respect to capital XYZ. Now this quantity which I have AP, I have to find its derivative with respect to capital XYZ. But AP we are measuring only with respect to small m. So I will use this formula. D by dt of AP with respect to capital XYZ will be equal to d by dt of AP with respect to small xyz plus omega cross AP. So this will, for here I use the formula, this will become plus, I will get d by dt of AP with respect to small xyz plus omega cross . Is this clear? Because quantity AP we don't measure with respect to capital XYZ. So there I use this formula of dA by dt. So therefore what I get is, once I write this, what I get is velocity of P with respect to capital XYZ. This will become equal to, now dA, the first term, let me write it as, is equal to velocity of A with respect to capital XYZ plus I have the second term. What is d by dt of AP with respect to small xyz? That is velocity of P as measured from small xyz and plus omega cross AP. So this is the formula which I get for velocity of a point as observed from fixed frame, can be written as velocity of the point as observed from the moving frame plus velocity of the origin plus omega cross AP, where omega is equal to omega of m with respect to f. Now what I will do in the next class will be, I will go from here and take one more derivative, and that will give me the formula for acceleration. And you will realize once I come to this, when I differentiate, think about it, this will just give me the same derivative. When I come to here, I will have to be careful, it's velocity of P with respect to m. So therefore when I differentiate this, I will get acceleration of P with respect to m plus omega cross Vp, because I am taking the derivative with respect to capital X. I will do it in the next class, and then when I differentiate this, I will get omega dot cross AP plus omega cross AP dot. AP dot we have already seen as two terms, so that will be omega cross AP plus omega cross V, and there is another omega cross V from here. So those two will add up to give 2 times omega cross V, and this is what we will do in the next class, the formula for acceleration. And basically from there we will take problems. Today's class has been mainly derivation of these things. There's some more things we'll see is when we have multiple references, how do we find their angular accelerations. So those also I will deal in the coming classes. Okay.